Greetings, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Mistake Zone, your weekly dose of our lives and the mistakes within them. My name is Jaren Wade. Joining me, as always, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Matt Alba. Hey, Matt.
Yo.
How are you doing?
Yo, I'm doing good.
Matt, you're doing better than me after, again, peek behind the curtain, had to record that intro a second time because, Matt, we're recording an hour later than usual, and I may or may not be a sleepy boy.
Oh no, Jaren.
Even though I'm a sleepy boy, Matt, I'm looking at my desk right now, and in addition to being a sleepy boy, I am a messy boy.
Yo, same.
I have a few empty cans of sparkling water around me and one empty bubble tea cup, just because I love me some beverages. Matt,
Yo.
what's currently littering your desk right now?
Jaren, I have 3 cans of Coke Zero, empty, and 3 empty cans of Black Fanta.
Okay, I was going to say also empty, but
Oh yeah,
again,
also
Matt,
empty. Jaren, I also have 2 boxes of empty Cheez-Its, because for some reason I just really wanted Cheez-Its this week.
Oh, I was actually thinking about this earlier, Matt. Matt, when it comes to your snacks of choice, now that we're in our, we're grown ass men, do your snacks of choice tend to kind of hover more so to the salty side, or are you still a sweet boy at heart?
I think I'm more so towards the salty or like less sweet side of things now.
I don't know about you, Matt, but for me, I have these random, maybe episodes where I think I just want to destroy an entire bag of chips.
Yeah, I feel that.
And I don't necessarily get that when it comes to gummy candies or cookies. Don't get me wrong, I love me a good cookie, I love me a good brownie, anything of those dessert kind of family. But at the same time, I don't think, oh, I want to destroy a dozen cookies or I want to destroy a whole cake. I feel like I can more, I can indulge, but not indulge too much just because I want to still feel good about myself. But Matt, when I pop open a bag of chips, I feel like I'm staring at my own mortality when I do that. And I love me some chips, man. I love me some chips.
I feel that.
Love me some sparkling water, as indicated by the cans that surround my desk right now. And I do love me some video games, Matt Alba. I know we keep not necessarily pushing or putting off doing hey, let's do a fall review for video games and kind of just go over what's coming out. But I feel like since I think mid-August or whenever Baldur's Gate 3 officially came out, I do feel it's been week after week, just something new, something to grab our attention. And we're kind of in the thick of it now, Matt.
Yep.
I know we hinted at it last week, but both of us put in some hours into Starfield, which we'll get to eventually, now that we have our opinions formed. And not gonna lie, Matt, just to kind of spoil it, may or may not have a few more words from our friend Julian, just to help us with our SEO content. Of course, Matt, of course. But considering we're just really thick into video games right now, Matt, is there any other non-video game mistakes that you've been kind of partaking in this last week?
I mean, Jaren, other than these, usual snack mistakes, I have also just been doing the usual Amazon window surfing. And
Of course.
my cart right now is my wish list right now is recently dominated by knockoff Legos.
Oh, Matt. Why the knockoff variety?
Just because, like Lego's all fine and good, Jaren, but I want some, just some sets that are not within, Lego's, what do you call it? I guess like Lego's current sets.
Right.
Cause recently, Jaren, my sister bought those like Lego art piece ones that are based on kind of paintings. She recently bought the Van Gogh's Starry Night, and I thought that
Matt,
looked really cool.
we have that in our sitting room right now, waiting to
Nice.
be put together.
Nice. So yeah, my sister was building it, and I was actually really surprised at how much it comes off of the, I guess like, or how like 3D the actual like model is, because I didn't
Yeah.
expect that. So I took a look at Lego's The Great Wave, from that really famous like Japanese painting.
Matt,
Do you have that too, Jared?
sorry, we don't have the Van Gogh one. We do have Great Wave.
God.
I'm getting my fancy Lego sets mixed up in my old man brain right now.
So I was looking at Lego's like Great Wave, and I was kind of like, I thought that it would be just as 3D as the Van Gogh one, but it's a lot less 3D. So I started looking into it more, or looking into kind of just Lego sets more, which led me to the knockoff Lego sets. And there's a knockoff Lego set that is like a much more 3D version of the Great Wave. And Jaren, I think the part that made me really laugh at like what this thing was that it has like an insert on the back that's just the background of Starry Night. So I can get the best of both worlds there, Jaren.
Oh man, Matt. Hey, can you send that link over?
Yeah, for sure. I'll send it.
I feel like having the official Lego Great Wave and the knockoff Great Wave right beside each other. I think it's probably going to be on the more expensive end of goofs, but I feel like that's totally in my goof wheelhouse where I'll really consider it.
I mean, Jaren, this thing was like $109, and then there's a $10 off coupon. So, it's a pretty committed goof, I think.
You know me, Matt. After I watched Gran Turismo and the whole message or theme of that movie was you need to really commit to your turns. No fear, Matt. Same thing with goofs. Have to commit, no fear, and hope for the best. But I too made some Amazon purchases this week, Matt.
Okay.
I think I told you a few weeks ago I may or may not be in my coffee era of sorts, where I recently added a handheld frother
Okay.
to my coffee making
I
arsenal,
mean,
just to help.
that's like a nice kind of small thing to add, I think.
And now I'm totally considering, okay, I need to rebuy a kitchen scale just so I can weigh how much beans I need to grind up for my coffee. And then having a little whisk just to, once I have grounded my beans, just to whisk it a bit. So, no clumps, Matt. Can't have the clumps.
Did you figure out how
And
to like
it's all
properly use your espresso maker? No?
Yes.
Oh, nice.
And once that I figured that out, Matt, world is my oyster.
Yeah.
When it comes to making lattes and Americanos and espresso shots and the like. Because Matt, now I'm on the lookout for beans that may or may not be good. And I soon realized, wow, another expensive hobby.
Jared, I have
to-
no idea like how to tell the difference between, or like what to look for in coffee, different coffee bean flavors.
I think I'm still in my introductory phase of just kind of gravitating towards, oh, this kind of sounds nice. This smells nice. The date on the packaging is pretty recent. You don't want, apparently you don't want any old beans that have been sitting on the shelf for too long. Just to really experience that flavor, Matt. So can't wait to be fully invested in this and have it gradually waste away as soon as another flavor of the moment interest for me pops up. Matt, for now, love me some coffee in the morning. Better than the instant espresso I've been drinking for the last, since before the pandemic.
Yo, Jared, before summer ends, you gotta bust out some affogatos.
Oh, That's true, Matt. That is true. But Matt,
Hmm.
I just realized that this was also the summer we purchased that Ninja Creamy, and I'm still making ice cream. But Matt,
Hmm.
now I'm thinking maybe I should make some coffee ice cream.
Yo, do it up, Jared.
I'll report back, Matt. I'll report back. But
Hmm.
I think our purchases aside and our to continue from one expensive hobby to another, Matt,
Hmm.
before we get into Starfield, there was a collab to come to one of the mobile games that is in my daily rotation.
Hmm.
We spoke about this a few months ago when it was originally announced. It finally came to the EN server, the JP server, and I'm talking about the Arknights Monster Hunter collab, or
Yes.
would it be the Monster Hunter Arknights collab? Matt,
Hmm.
which name goes first? It's the Arknights Monster Hunter collab,
Yeah,
right?
it has to be like the game itself, and then the one that's like bringing the property in, right?
I think so. I think so, Matt. But we're talking about a Flurry to the Flame, the new Arknights event that also comes with its own respective gotcha. I think when this was first announced, we kind of went through it, but again, I feel like the main event for this collab is the Sharpened by Flame Headhunt character gotcha, which brings us Kieran R. Yato, a 6-star specialist,
Hmm.
and the 5-star Rathalos S. Nor Corn. Corny? I don't, I just call him Nor, who is a guard. And with the Arknights collab gotchas, you do get the guaranteed 6-star, which is the Kieran our Yato unit within the first 120 rolls.
Hmm.
And considering this is a big event, a limited collab event as well, you do get one free 10 pull at the start of the event, and by the end of the event, you'll get another free 10 pull as well. And I think luckily for both of us, Matt, we both got the collab units relatively early. I believe I got mine around 40 rolls. Do you remember how long it took you to get your units, Matt?
It was either the 60 or the 70. I
Okay.
can't remember. So I got like around halfway there.
So we got our units, Matt. Matt, I know you're not a big Arknights guy. Did you uninstall yet, or are you still just dicking around with
No,
it?
I think I'll stick around for like the rest of this. I was about to say Hololive collab. This this Monster Hunter collab.
Gotta keep playing until you get your last 10 pull, Matt, and
Oh
do
man,
that 10 pull and retire.
Jared, I
What's
hate
up?
I hate the system that they're using this time for getting the what would it
Daily
be?
login bonus.
Not the daily login bonus. The you know how like in every single like kind of like event, they have like a special shop for
Oh, yeah, the
buying
event
things.
currency. Yeah.
I hate this one, Jared. I don't like that. It's just more RNG. I just want the furniture pieces.
This is so to kind of piggyback off of what Matt said,
Hmm.
for a lot of the Arknight events, and I guess any real gotcha game event, within that you have a event currency which you use in an event shop to buy those event items. And in terms of the Monster Hunter collab, as Matt did say, the actual way it works is you essentially get monster pieces at the end of your runs, and then you throw it into a melder, I believe, and then you'll randomly get a prize from a list of assorted or potential rewards, which,
Hmm.
Matt, is this relevant to Monster Hunter in any way?
Oh
Because
my
this
god.
is the first time I've seen it for Arknights. And for the Arknights, purely Arknights fan base, this has been a point of contention.
This is Jaren, unfortunately, very Monster Hunter. There
Okay.
is a mechanic in Monster Hunter, or I guess like an item in Monster Hunter called talismans. And for talismans, there's just kind of a pool of effects that they can have, and you kind of just throw currency at it, and it'll generate you a talisman based on that pool. And this is a lot. This event currency system feels a lot like the talisman system from Monster Hunter.
Matt, this isn't great.
I don't like it, Jared.
I too am someone who is, just doing the event grind. I'm typically grinding CF 6 to 8, which are the event ones, since I feel like the currency yield from those ones are the best ones. I didn't really look into it to see which stage is the best for
Oh, I
farming.
should actually look it
But
up as well because I've just been doing 8 because it's the highest one, and I was like, oh, that must be good.
yeah, I think I've been gravitating towards 8 as well, and it is something I should look up. But there was one thing I wanted to mention specifically about the story, at least the event story
Uh
here
huh.
for the Monster Hunter collab in Arknights, where we've said it before, Arknights is a gotcha game that revolves around a sanity system.
Yeah.
Sanity is essentially your stamina, and each stage has a stamina or sanity cost. As long as you have enough sanity, which regenerates over time, or if you have your weekly sanity regen items, you use it as well. But as long as you have the sanity, you enter it. It uses that sanity. You play the stage. Standard gotcha stuff, of course. But the thing with a event such as Monster Hunter or just any event is, of course, the story, and especially with the so far this has been the second collab event to come to Arknights. The first one being the Rainbow Six one, and similar to the Rainbow Six one, you have this kind of isekai scenario with some of the support characters. In the, of course, the Rainbow Six collab, you have the Rainbow Six operators, and for the Monster Hunter one, you have the palicos or the felines. And I always wanted to read through them just to see, oh, how do these characters come into the Arknights world, the world of Terra, and how do Terra's residents react to essentially these characters out of time. And with the Rainbow Six collab, I really think that was a really insightful event story just because it gave you so much insight to how the world of Terra operates and what kind of logic that world is based off of, especially when you see it through the lens of humans such as the Rainbow Six operators. And you learn things like, oh, even though a lot of characters in Arknights use guns, they don't actually use bullets. It's a form of art or magic. And just little things like that come together to really give you a better view of Terra. And when it comes to the Monster Hunter collab, I feel like you don't get the same Terra world building as you did with Rainbow Six. And for the most part, this really does feel like a standard side story that has kind of a light Monster Hunter inspiration to it. Sure, you have the Palicos, sure, you have Rathalos, but for the most part, this is your. I want to. I do think it's your standard Arknights story, or something you will come to kind of expect from this world, just with that Monster Hunter flavor within them. I know I did find myself in some instances where I thought, oh, this might be a reference to something in Monster Hunter, sadly, that I don't have, so I don't get to appreciate it more. But for the most part, it doesn't feel as substantial or important as the Rainbow Six collab. Not saying that that's a bad thing per se, but as someone who doesn't have the affinity to Monster Hunter as say you would do, Matt, I kind of appreciated it less and got less out of it. Like what, and not to that's not to say that I'm a big fan of Rainbow Six, but again, it had those Arknights hooks just to kind of really make you invested. For the most part, this is your standard, oh, what's up with this village? There's some kind of conspiracy going on, and actually there's Rathalos kind of hovering out and about. But Matt, I know you're also playing the event. Did you kind of look into the story, or was it just something that you were skimming through?
Jaren, I I tried to, but Jared, these like story clip cinematic things or whatever are super long. I never realized how long these things are.
Okay, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
this is kind of my whole problem with the Arknights kind of lore, and especially with the Monster Hunter collab. So as I said before, you have
Mm-hmm.
sanity, you pay to enter, but as seasoned gotcha players, Matt, you never want to have your sanity capped because if your sanity's capped, you're being inefficient in your
Mm-hmm.
runs. And for me, I want to, especially with an event, I want to make sure that, okay, I go in right away, spend my sanity, and, just make sure I'm efficiently grinding the event
Yeah.
currency. But with Arknights, with the Monster Hunt collab in particular, I wanted to read the story. And then I realized, as you said, Matt, just how long Arknight stories have become to where I compare it a lot to another mobile game that I'm playing right now in Nikkei, Goddess of Victory. I know I called it Goddess of War last week, but the Nikkei Near collab, I feel that I was able to enjoy that collab a lot more just because the story I feel was more engaging. I do feel that the world of Nier, especially, and its themes especially, lends itself well to the world of Nikkei, and there's so many similarities between kind of that world logic between the two, and when you get to kind of that sense of identity, existentialism, since both of them complement it well, they're able to essentially tell similar stories that that and not only end in chapter cliffhangers, but it's the fact that you're spending what 3 to 5 minutes at
Mm-hmm.
most prior to a fight, and then 3 to 5 minutes post fight, just for each of the chapters, which are really nice and bite sized. And I feel like in being so short, it's a lot more engaging. Now run that to the Arknights Monster Hunter collab, where literally it feels like you start up a stage, go through 10, 15, 20 minutes of text,
Mm-hmm.
do a stage that runs for like 2 minutes, and then have, oh no, 5, 10, 15 more minutes of like post fight story. And that goes on for essentially 9 missions in all. And it got to the point, Matt, where CF9 is the last chapter for, I guess, the first part of this event. Normally, the second part of the events in Arknights, they don't necessarily have chapters or story attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the longest time, Matt, I didn't touch CF7, didn't touch CF8, didn't touch CF9 just because I knew, okay, I have to sit down and really invest in what I'm going to read because it's essentially like watching an anime
Uh-huh.
episode. And for someone who really wants to read the lore, sometimes it's a time commitment. It's a time commitment that isn't as engaging as say watching an anime episode just because it is kind of your visual novel style and I'm not necessarily I need to be in certain moods to really enjoy visual novels,
Mm-hmm.
Matt.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But this really brought me to a website that a Reddit user created. I remember seeing this back, I think a year ago. I believe I just pulled it up right now. It's from Rockroller01 on Reddit. He essentially put together a website to tell you how many characters and words a particular chapter or event in Arknights
Amazing.
has, just to kind of give you a reference of just how long these stories have been getting.
Mm-hmm.
So, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
before we move on, I just wanted to kind of run through just the main story of Arknights in game, which is around 12 chapters.
Okay.
So, Matt,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to kind of get your take on this. And I think this will also kind of explain why we're kind of put off by the amount of text found in the Monster Hunter event chapters.
Okay.
But Matt, so episode 0, Evil Time Part 1, essentially the prelogue to Arknights. Matt, this had 7,000 words altogether.
Okay.
Episode 1, Evil Time Part 2, Matt, 5,000 words.
Okay.
So pretty good, pretty good.
Jared, these are like really low sounding numbers.
Matt, we'll get there. Episode 2, Separated Hearts, 7.5 thousand words. Still good, still good.
Yeah.
Episode 3, Stinging Shock, again, 7,700 words. Episode 4, Burning Run, 8,400 words.
Okay.
And then Matt? Episode 5, Necessary Solutions, 14,000 words.
Damn.
Episode 6, Partial Necrosis, 33,000 words.
Ugh.
Episode 7, The Birth of Tragedy, 42,000 words. Episode 8, Roaring Flame, 71,000 words. Episode 9, Stormwatch, 41,000 words. Episode 10, Shatterpoint, 58,000 words. And episode 11, Return to Mist, 37,000 words. Matt? I feel like, of course, episode 6 was the turning point. And I believe episode 6 is partially where the second season of anime will really take place. But as you can see, just the amount of text being pumped into these stories. And it, oddly enough, it is around episode 7 that I really just kind of started skipping through everything, because it was also around this time, and like the events kind of corresponded the same way, where it really feels like you were getting a lot of text. And even with the Monster Hunter collab itself, Matt, I feel like there was a lot of filler there, where I really just wanted to kind of tab through everything, or just skip everything and then kind of return to it later. But again, the stories are done in such a way where you get a chunk of story before the fight and then of a chunk again after the fight. So it is a big investment. And again, that's why I was kind of really hesitant to kind of continue reading, just because I didn't get that additional Arknights world building there. It was more so just everything kind of really, I guess secluded might not be the right word, but it really did feel a lot more small scale. Sure, you got a lot more backstory for Yato, which again, really big glow up considering her and Nor are originally kind of 2-star operators. So it's kind of nice just to see them explore older characters like that. I think the one thing that really threw me off, Matt, is during the story before they get their Monster Hunter gear, we see Nor and we see Yato in their Rhode Island gear. And the Nor portrait that you see in his Rhode Island gear is the same art from his 2-star card. But Matt, since Yato in her Monster Hunter gear looks kind of different than her art in the 2-star card, they just adapted that Monster Hunter art to look like her 2-star card. And Matt, it's really distracting considering, especially when she's standing beside like normal Nor. It was kind of jarring for me to see that, Matt. But again, that only is something that matters to people who have been following it for a minute. But other than that, Matt, solid event collab. I do like all the freebies, with even though the event giveaway kind of is a bummer. But Matt, as someone who isn't that invested in Arknights as a whole, how did you find, or how are you finding the Monster Hunter collab?
I mean, Jaren, it's for me, not any different than any other Arknights for me. Cause like I, unlike you, I'm not really paying attention to the story. So
Right.
I'm really just going in there, be like, oh, cool. Hey, look, they brought in the flash bombs from Monster Hunter. Oh, they brought in
Yeah.
like the explosives from Monster Hunter. They brought in like I was surprised to see that they brought in like wire bugs, or not wire bugs specifically, but like something similar from Monster Hunter. I was like, oh, neat. Like this is a
That
fun time, huh?
that wire bug item or whatever it's called is wild. Just once
That
I
is crazy. Yeah.
when I realized how, so essentially what the wire bug does is, say you deploy a unit, especially one that has a active special move, you activate the bug on the unit, and it lets you re-summon that unit in a different spot for a notably reduced deployment cost. Plus, their special meter is almost fully charged at the redeploy point. So I found myself doing a lot more wacky strategies with my operators that have, the insta kill moves, and kind of just redeploying them uh, as random, just to kind of really redeploying something with a insta-kill move over and over again in combination with like the fast deploy nukes such as Yato, such as the limited Texas unit. I feel like from a gameplay perspective, these items and as mechanics have been some of the better Arknights or event mechanics that I've experienced in quite some time. So I think that was really enjoyable for me. But yeah, Matt, sorry I cut you off. How else were you at least enjoying the Arknights gameplay portion of it?
I don't know. Like I mean, like for me, Jaren is like normal Arknights. I don't really know what I want to do to progress because I'm at that
Right.
point where I've gotten all my operators to like max level elite 1, and I am scared to spend resources to like E2 any of them in case I E2 somebody I shouldn't have.
Realistically, if you gave me a list of operators, I could give you some recommendations of who you would want to kind of look into,
Oh, okay.
assuming you want to kind of stick to the game or if you play it casually. Depending on which 6-star operators specifically and some 5-star operators, I think you can start looking towards that range. But actually, for content, Matt, which 6-star operators are you currently juggling with?
I've got Saga, Siege, Gavial the Invincible, Silver Ash, Chen the Holongde, Exusia, Kirin Ariato, Liskarm, Amiya, Warframe, Quora, Jessica, Perfumer, Susuro, Gravel, Fang, Beagle, Cruz, Lava, and Contabile as my general leveled people that I use. Or operators that I use.
Oh, yo, Matt,
Huh?
real talk. I think your 6 stars right now are a really good collection and a really good place. Realistically, Exia, or I just call her Exu,
Mhm.
but she's literally my favorite character in Arknights. I think between her and Silver Ash, I would work towards E2ing both of them and then going into mastery for both of them, specifically both their skill 3 moves, trying to get to mastery 3 for them.
I don't even know what mastery means.
So, okay, essentially, when you E2 a character
Uh huh.
and you know how you can level up skills
Yeah.
in the operator in your operator menu, you can level up all your skills from 1 to 7. And
Yeah.
once you get to level 7, that opens up mastery, which lets you further train your character in the training room for your base.
Oh, I see.
And that there are 3 skill levels there. Someone like Siege, say, which if you Siege is also a pretty decent investment, but I wouldn't E2 her until you're settled with Silver Act, and then I would probably go Yato and then Chen. limited Chen. Just because I think those four characters in particular are really strong,
True.
especially with their moves. With Siege, she's her skill 2. She becomes like a pretty decent tank, even though she's a vanguard. But in terms of mastery, you can mastery one her second skill, and I think anything more than that is kind of not necessarily needed just because your returns aren't as great. But yeah, Matt, Exu and Silver Ash, I would work on E2ing them, and I feel like since resources right now might be limited, I think once you E2, I think leaving them around level 40 to 50 should be a good place to kind of stop and then start focusing on another character when you can.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I would go for Silver Ash, and his third skill in particular will really help you with clears. That's essentially a get out of free card.
Nice.
Exu, her skill 3 is essentially just like you plop her down and she'll start to shred at intervals. With limited Chen, she also is a sniper operator, and then her skill 3 is also once you're able to activate it, it's essentially delete everything on screen or within her attack range.
Nice.
Character, similar to Silver Ash's S3. And with Yato, she's a fast deploy unit, and I would also work on her M3ing her skill 3, but essentially with her playstyle is you drop her down, she'll do as much damage as she can, and then you take her out of the field. So yeah, I would work on those 4 in particular, and that's my Arknights advice corner for now, Matt.
Nice, thanks, Jaren.
That pretty solid roster there. In terms of your 5-star, Warfarin is a really good healer to have in terms of 5-starness. Korra is actually, yeah, 6-starring, or sorry, not 6-starring. E1 in Korra is pretty decent. Matt, honestly, when you get to a point, I think E2ing Gravel is also a solid investment.
Oh man.
So Matt, in terms of end game content, there's usually these routine events that happen every month called contingency contracts, and that's essentially you have a level, and then you add kind of modifiers to make your CC level higher, to add difficulty, and you're essentially chasing how high your CC level is. And Matt, Gravel, along with Myrtle, have become like CC staples just because, Matt, Gravel is a fast redeploy unit similar to Yato, but she has a shield. So a common CC strategy with Gravel is whenever there's a beefy enemy sniper that essentially will shoot a insta-kill shot every 4 shots of his, you drop Gravel at every 4th shot to take the hit and then redeploy her. Matt,
Oh, that's so sad.
after the first CC, I instantly E2'd her and bought her a costume the moment you can buy her a costume.
Oh, I like Gravel's
Because-
costume. Or alternate.
Her default's really nice. I don't actually like her costume that she has released, but Matt, she deserves it. She deserves it, Matt. But yeah, in closing, Matt, if you continue with Arknights, Silver Ash, Exu, Chen, and Yato, good solid investments to work towards.
Okay. I trust your judgment, Jaren.
And the Monster Hunter collab, I really appreciate it. Matt, did you finish? Like, did you beat Rathlos yet?
No, I opened it up
Okay.
and I was like, I'm gonna not do this. Is it hard?
Matt, can I spoil something about the Rathalos fight? So I attacked him from behind,
Yeah.
and then his tail fell off once he died.
Oh, that makes sense.
And I thought that was a really nice touch for the game. And the tail kind of just sat there. And I don't know if that unlocks a medal or anything because, Matt, there's story's still playing and I just have it running in the background and I'll
Nice.
get to reading the story when I have the time to do so. But
Nice.
Matt, Monster Hunter Arknights collab, I enjoy it.
Same.
And hopefully you guys will enjoy it as well. So Matt, that was a beefy Arknights talk.
Yeah.
Because Matt, I love Arknights.
Same. Yeah.
And if there's another beefy thing that I typically love, it's, I guess, the modern Bethesda RPG, or, the Bethesda game, so to speak. And as I mentioned last week, I'm a fan of modern Bethesda games. And I feel like for me to properly have a conversation about Starfield,
Yeah.
I need to list my Bethesda accolades, or at least accolades to me. Matt,
Okay. Uh-huh.
I have all the achievements in Fallout 3.
Okay.
I've completed New Vegas multiple times on the Xbox 360 and the PC. I played through vanilla Skyrim on the PS3, and I probably have close to 300 hours in Fallout 76.
Okay.
Matt,
Uh-huh.
by that resume, I put up a lot. I put up a lot with Bethesda games just because I like them for the most part. Whether it be vanilla, whether it be a modded. I've done modded playthroughs of both New Vegas and Skyrim, so I have. I would like to say I have pretty substantial experience with both. And I, Matt, I want to like Starfield more than I do, unfortunately.
Okay.
And I feel like with the several hours that I've played of Starfield so far, it kind of made me realize I don't actually want to play vanilla Bethesda experiences in 2023.
Uh-huh.
And I overall, I feel like Starfield is definitely a more refined take on a formula that I've been enjoying since 2008. But at the same time, I feel like there seems to be little and not so little quality of life things that are really making it difficult for me to enjoy the game to the fullest. Because I'll be honest, Matt, I feel like initially a lot of the negative reception to Starfield, from what I saw, was that it was a twofold thing. One, that it continues to be the Bethesda formula without any drastic changes, and that there was a subset of players kind of expecting more space exploration, something similar
Yeah.
to a No Man's Sky, when in reality, this is a Bethesda game within that Bethesda framework with a space, not an in depth space exploration wrapper around it, but it is still, there is still this heavy, I guess, this heavy emphasis on space. Obviously, it's a space
See,
game.
Jaren, that's the thing actually for me is that I feel like the
Yeah.
space stuff in this game isn't actually too great. Like I almost feel like it's just a glorified menu for me. At least the way I'm playing.
I feel like I've already kind of set the stage for I'm going to poo poo this game when in reality, for me personally, Matt, I'm more of a mixed. So far, my time with Starfield has been really mixed, but in terms of space exploration, uh, how are you? I know you kind of gave a rundown of how you're feeling towards it, but kind of more in depth, how have your experiences been with the space traversal and the space exploration part of Starfield? Just because, to be completely honest, that's something that is on the not. I'm not necessarily as interested in that part of the game, so I'm not necessarily touching it for now, for the most
Uh huh.
part. But for you, Matt, as someone who has also experience with different space exploration games. How are you liking or not liking that aspect of Starfield?
Okay, so for the space exploration, like specifically exploration, I think that that just isn't there in Starfield. You don't really have too much freedom with regards to what you're doing in your like when you're navigating or flying your spaceship, which was kind of a letdown for me. I have been enjoying kind of the kind of dogfighting that you can do in the ships, because like I generally do like that kind of gameplay. I think the thing that really disappointed me the most with regards to the space stuff is that there's no natural configuration within Starfield to use a HOTAS controller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like genuinely so looking forward to using my HOTAS controller, because I love having an excuse to plug that thing in. Like, and for Starfield to not really have that support integrated, I kind of, on one hand, understand why, but I really, really wished that it was there. Like, it really just makes me want to reinstall Elite Dangerous. But
Okay.
as far as like the space stuff goes that like is there, I think the dogfighting is like pretty fun. I really liked the shipbuilding once I began to understand what is like a good shipbuilding formula.
Okay.
And I do like that. Jaren, I think my issue with like older Bethesda games is that I never really liked the house systems.
Okay.
Like mostly because like I don't like having to go to my house and then go back to wherever it was I was trying to go. I really do like having my ship there. I've customized it in a way where, hey, look, I have weapon racks here to display weapons. I have all my crafting benches and stuff in here. I've expanded my cargo so I can hold a bunch of stuff, and I've like put, more seats into here so I can have more just party members like hanging out inside of the ship. Like that sort of thing is actually like very, very nice for me within the space stuff for Starfield.
Okay. So Matt, I take it you didn't pick Dream House as one of your kind of starting perks.
Oh, I did not. Jaren, actually, I want to. What were the 3 starting perks that you picked?
Okay,
I'm just
Matt.
curious here.
So for me personally, I went. So Matt.
But I guess your starting class as well.
Okay. So let's kind of get into the thick of it in terms of character creation, just because Matt, you know me. When Fallout 4 came out and it went live, I stayed up until 1 a.m. On a work night.
Uh-huh.
And then I proceeded to make my character for an hour or so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And with Starfield in particular, I did find a few of the presets that they gave you pretty solid. So didn't really spend that long in terms of my character creation, but I got my, bright pink haired character that I use throughout all the Bethesda games if I can, still ready for Starfield. But Matt, in terms of my character background, I wanted to choose someone because typically when I play through a Bethesda game, especially on my first playthrough, I like to have anything that helps with either charisma, persuasion. So after looking through the options, I kind of settled on whatever the Space Scoundrel character class was. Not necessarily class, but that gave you, I believe, persuasion. Also good with pistols, I believe, but kind of, I wanted to run that sort of character. A character who can talk their way out of situations, even though they've found themselves in, I guess, mischievous situations. That's how I want to play my first Starfield character. And kind of when it gave you those 3 additional perks, that I went Dream House because, of course, I would go Dream House. I did kid stuff as well.
Yes. Okay, I did that
on the
one as well.
recommendation of dueling because he said it's kind of nice to kind of interact with your parents here and there throughout the story. Because Matt,
Hmm.
needless to say, in past Bethesda experiences for me, situations like that were never. Well, I guess you were looking for your dad in Fallout 3, and then
Hmm.
you were the parent in Fallout 4.
Hmm.
So I think kid stuff sounded fun, so I chose that. And as I said, Kit Matt, I want to play through as a character who found themselves in particular situations in the past. So Matt, for some reason, I chose Wanted as my final
Okay.
perk.
I did as well, actually.
Oh, nice.
Hmm.
So Matt, we
Hmm.
have kid stuff and Wanted. What was your background and your last perk that you chose?
So my background was the kind of thief cyber runner, which
Right.
like came with I think like thievery, lock picking, and sneak.
Okay.
Because Jaren, like, if I'm gonna play a Bethesda game, I might as well play stealth archer, but in
Yeah.
space, right?
Of
And
course.
I think like that's why I also picked Wanted because I felt like that lined up pretty well.
Okay.
And I also picked Hero Worship, where you just kind of have this random person run up to you and
Oh, that's pretty good.
Jaren.
No-
They said in the description for like Hero Worship that some annoying person is gonna follow you around. I am so glad that I don't spend any time on populated planets because of this guy.
Okay.
Because Jaren, I met this person once and they're awful, and I regret picking this already.
Oh
But I
no.
hope it leads to like some good memes.
And I feel like this is where my. I'm not sure if I should say disconnect is starting to show with Starfield in particular, just because
Hmm.
I think for me personally, I tend to enjoy the wackier side of the Fallout games.
Hmm.
I know there was that one perk you can pick in Fallout that essentially makes wacky things happen every now and then, and I would always pick it whenever I got the chance to do that. And even, speaking about space Bethesda games on Game Pass, even with the Outer Worlds a few years ago, I feel like that struck, a pretty decent line of where I want these type of games to go, in terms of presentation, in terms of humor. Where with Starfield, I feel like so far from everything I experienced, it does have this sense of self seriousness to it. Not saying that's necessarily a bad thing,
Hmm.
but I feel like for me, I do, I guess, especially now in terms of what I want out of a game like this,
Hmm.
I would tend to lean towards the Outer Worlds, which was a lot more bite size. Kind of when I think back at it, and I am really curious to see where the Outer Worlds 2 goes, especially in a post Starfield world.
Hmm.
But then again, video game development, man, it's really hard to see what your contemporaries are doing when you're so in the thick of making your own thing as well.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll leave that to when the Outer Worlds 2 comes out.
Hmm.
But that
Hmm.
let's just also get into it. Let's go through one of my favorite Bethesda features. And have you run into any particular bugs or anything of that nature, Matt? Just because from what I've seen reporting wise, this is Bethesda's most, I guess, solid game to date. But, you know, we're running into some Bethesda jank,
Uh
Matt.
huh.
Have you run into some Bethesda jank in your playtime so
I've
far?
had two crashes to desktop, which is, to be honest,
Okay.
like last time I was expecting to get. But I do remember two particular points of like jank for me,
Okay.
which is one, I have this piece of equipment that when you sneak and you don't move, you turn invisible.
Oh, nice.
So when I use that, it'll also cloak your follower, right? And there's a weird piece of jank where sometimes their head doesn't uncloak, so they're just walking around with an invisible head, which is
Amazing.
nice enjoyable piece of jank. But the game breaking jank for me, Jaren, was So Jaren, I'm very used to being able to kind of just scroll my mouse wheel to switch my weapons. Like if I'm,
Yes.
especially if I'm just going like to the one that's like, oh, I'm going from weapon 1 to weapon 2 or weapon 2 to weapon 3 or like, vice versa. I'm really
Yeah.
used to doing that. And in Starfield, by default, that is assigned to POV change, right?
Yes. Yep.
So I don't know what it is I'm doing. It's happened to me twice, where I was kind of like scrambling to switch to a different gun, and my POV would change, which is like not great to begin with, but like I would do my finishing like shot on the enemy while I'm in third person view, and then when I switch back to first person view, I can't move my character or aim my reticle.
Oh, that's
And
rough,
I have
Matt.
to switch out to third person and like either continue that way, because even if I switch back to the really weird thing is that even if I switch back to first person from third person, if I walked away in third person, I snap back to where I was when my thing froze in first person. So I can only fix it by doing a full return to desktop. Like even doing a quick save,
Oh,
quick load
wow.
doesn't fix that, which was like wild to me.
Matt, that's crazy, and I'm actually glad I've never run into that so
Uh-huh.
far. So far yet,
Mhm.
Matt, because that also sounds like a feature
Jared,
to
are you playing
me.
on mouse and keyboard, or are you doing it on like controller on Steam Deck? Oh no, I guess you're playing on
So,
Game Pass, right?
Matt, we'll get into that in a
Hmm.
minute. But in terms of Bethesda jank, I need to say this, Matt. I feel like it was almost poetic where when I started Starfield for the first time,
Uh-huh.
I'm playing on PC Game
Yeah.
Pass. When I started for the first time, Matt,
Hmm.
during the initial load, when it gives you all the logos,
Yes.
I got when the Bethesda logo hit my screen, I got the Starfield is not responding. If you close this product, you might lose information. And I thought that was the most poetic thing
Amazing.
in the world.
Amazing.
And in the several hours that I've played the game so far, Matt, I feel like I haven't really run into anything as major as you're running into. I do have to say, though, when I was creating my character, it bugged out in a way where I know if you hover around, I think your teeth or mouth area, your character smiles, does the open smile to show
I
their
don't like
teeth.
how they smile.
Matt,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Matt, that locked for me
Amazing.
where the moment I, went to a different body part, the character stayed smiling that way. And even when I backed out to choose a different preset, they were still doing that creepy smile.
Uh-huh.
And Matt,
Oh.
it was so unsettling
Uh-huh.
trying to create a character with that smile.
Jared?
But
Jared, sorry. Just quick
yep,
aside, because you
no,
picked kid stuff as well. Have you visited your
yes,
parents in game yet?
no, not yet.
Okay. Jared, I visited my parents in game, and it seems like with kid stuff, your same gendered parent is just gonna be an aged up version of you. I don't know
Okay.
what the formula is for the other parent, but Jared, my dad looks weird. It looks like they took the took like any slider and just maxed it or minned it, and he looks really really weird, Jared.
Oh, I need to see that. I need to see my parents in game right now.
Hmm.
But Matt,
Hmm.
it's 2023. How do kids in Bethesda games still look weird and awkward? Where when I'm not sure if it happened for you, but when I entered New Atlantis, the major hub
Uh
city,
huh.
for the first time, you come across these three, I guess, refugees from I guess, an attack who are landing at New Atlantis, and one of them is a kid who's looking for his parents.
Uh
Matt,
huh.
I swear, every Bethesda kid is essentially just a normal Bethesda adult scaled
Uh
down,
huh.
and it's So, I don't know, Matt. But I did feel at home considering that everyone still has those dead eyes that you kind of expect from a
Jared,
Bethesda
I
game.
don't like that everybody kind of just any NPC who doesn't have like something to focus on just focuses on you, and I don't like that.
Yes. It it made the tutorial really weird when you're walking to meet what's his name, Barrett, for the first
Hmm.
time or whatever, and the your mining captain person was just looking at you while you're kind of trying to walk towards the sky.
Hmm.
But Matt, I feel like since I gave you some Arknights
Uh
tips,
huh.
before we move on, I do have Julian's non spoiler tips
Okay.
for Starfield
Hmm.
that I wanted to run through you and see uh, if this is something you're currently following or if you're going to add this to your Starfield
Okay.
arsenal. Matt,
Hmm.
learn how to use the scan function ASAP. The game has no minimap nor any local maps. The faster you get into the habit of turning on scan to navigate as well as analyze stuff, the better.
Hmm.
Trying to use the map as a map just ends up being frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah. That I
Yep.
kind of got into the habit of already.
I feel like this is the single most important tip in Starfield, especially if you're coming in as someone who likes that Bethesda framework.
Hmm. I mean, I also just
Matt,
find it really useful for like knowing what you can interact with in an environment.
yes, super
Hmm.
helpful. I think by default that is left bumper L1. I always mash it when I'm playing side Matt. Always have
Hmm.
to.
Hmm.
Second tip: the fast travel in the game is pretty generous, but I'd actually advise using it. Using it too much makes the game pretty disjointed and takes away from the immersion. When you're flying
Yes.
your ship, instead of fast traveling to your mission, go to the mission log and set the one you want to do as active. Then, when you're flying in space, you'll see the quest marker. Point your ship to it and press interact, and it will allow you to jump to that system or planet. There are also a lot of random encounters in space that you miss if you fast travel from planet to planet.
Uh huh. I actually didn't know that you could focus on the thing and just fast travel to it that way.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. And when Julian gave me that tip, I thought, oh, okay, that's really good.
Hmm.
Tip: there are no land vehicles. The game gives you a ton of drug called AMP that boosts your speed and jump. Throw that on one of your quick binds and don't be afraid to use it.
Nice.
Yep,
I don't
I
think
feel
I've
that. I
used
feel that, man.
anything other than the basic heal item.
Same, same, Matt. Uh, Tip: play the story until you get your equivalent of Dragonborn
Yep.
powers. You unlock a power that gives you infinite stamina for a short period of time, which also helps with the buff problem.
Oh, I didn't find that power yet.
I'm still I'm in a weird area of the game, Matt, where I'm still trying to, get my Dragonborn powers, but I there are a lot of side missions that I'm kind of interested in, and I hate to admit it, Matt.
Hmm.
During one of kind of because you get Sarah as a
Yeah.
companion, and I'm following her, doing her missions and so forth. And one of your missions takes you to, our solar system.
Yeah.
And one of the speech bubbles was, hey, that's the moon. Can we land on the moon? And I feel like one of my first major instances of exploring was me just exploring, the moon.
Uh huh.
And it gave me such high school, oh, you're playing World of Warcraft and you can be anything you want to be, and yet you're playing as a human on
Uh
Alliance energy.
huh.
That as I was traversing the moon, it made me smile, Matt.
Uh
It
huh.
made me reminisce to that time our friend Sarah from high school made fun of us for being Alliance members.
Uh huh.
Tip:
Hmm.
the game doesn't tell you, but you need a perk that allows you to target specific parts of enemy ships under the pilot
Oh yeah.
section. Getting this perk and taking out their engines is one of the only ways to board ships. Boarding ships allows you to claim Either better ships or ships you can sell for money.
Oh, I didn't know
Do you
you
have
could.
that perk,
I didn't know
Matt?
you could claim the ship. Yeah, I have that perk, but I've always been targeting their weapons because I didn't know you could like take the ship from them.
Oh man,
Oh man, I'm gonna start doing
When's
that.
I really get it? Nice, nice. These tips are working, Matt. These tips are working. Tip: start an outpost ASAP. Your early ship has limited resource space, so having an outpost allows you to build storage containers for your resources. That's a good tip, Matt. That's a good tip.
Oh yeah,
Not that
I
I'm partaking in it.
kind of
Yeah.
like am weirded out by the outpost like building, but like I did fumble my way through it.
How so?
Oh, I kind of just like didn't know what is a good place to build one, right?
Okay.
Because you can kind of just build it
Hey,
wherever,
Matt.
but I don't
Our
know.
boy Julian has a tip for you.
Oh, nice, 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 nice. Drop it, drop it.
My suggestion is starting your first outpost on a planet that has iron deposits. You can see what materials a planet has from the star map. Iron is a good starter because it's always needed for building.
Oh,
So Matt,
nice. That's where I built
find an iron.
my first one.
Nice, nice, nice. And our pal Julian's final tip. Combat slide isn't worth it. Wasted 5 perks on that to slide like a centimeter.
Yeah, I unlocked combat slide as well. It's yeah, it's not great.
Oh man, Matt.
You know, I was like legitimately disappointed at how short the combat slide is.
As someone who plays a lot of Fortnite still, and I really like the Fortnite slide, Matt, I feel like the combat in, at least the gunplay in Starfield, is probably the best it's been in a Bethesda game. But at the same
Yeah,
time, that's not saying much considering it's not anything special.
Jaren.
Like, yeah, what's up?
Yeah. Oh no, no, I was gonna say the same thing. Like, I don't really think it's all that special.
I just like me good first person gunplay. You know me, Matt, and it's passable at the very least, but at the most part, it's your typical. Oh, the enemies I fought so far don't have any real like combat strategy to them. They're really just firing at you, taking cover,
Yeah.
and again, that Bethesda jank. I was taking over an outpost or whatever on the moon and fighting some space pirates, and a lot of the times I would just see enemy space pirates standing on crates, not shooting at me, and it's not again, it's nothing special. Yeah, that's kind of what I think with. Maybe when I do get those Dragonborn powers, maybe something will kind of spice it up. But yeah,
Uh-huh.
for the most part, right now, it's really just me kind of hanging back and trying to pick off anyone. And occasionally someone will run up to me, but at that point, you notice that they're running up to you and you can just shoot them down.
I think my one outlier for that stuff though, Jaren, for Starfield, is the zero G fights.
Right?
I've only found one so far, but Jaren, that is the most fun I've had in this game. The
Really?
zero G fighting is so good. It reminds me so much of like I really liked playing Shattered Horizon when it was an active game,
Yeah.
and to have another game that has kind of zero G FPS is really fun, especially with the way that they kind of designed the one map I did it in, because it does have a lot of good up and down movement to play with,
Oh, nice.
and that kind of whole thing of the enemy AI just kind of firing at you and then moving to cover actually translates very very well when they're moving in that kind of zero G space, because they can move basically anywhere, right? So it actually does become a lot more confusing in a good way in terms of keeping track of the enemies.
Okay. Now I'm looking forward to getting to that, Matt. But yeah, for the right now, I've only fought a few, space pirates on a few outposts, and again, it's nothing special. I do admit, on the first planet that you board, instead of trying to find the space pirate that is hunting you down, I kind of just wanted to explore the planet and went to an area I probably shouldn't just because a terramorph attacked me, and that was, I think, 11 levels ahead of me.
Yep.
But in pure Bethesda fashion, I got it clipped onto a railing, so it didn't
Nice.
really move or jump around. But unfortunately, I ran out of ammo, and all I had was my cutting laser, and
Uh-huh.
I couldn't. I was trying to find a good distance where I could like use my cutting laser to
Hmm.
damage it, even though it would take seconds. And I think during that dance, I forgot a Terramorph has a range attack, and it like
Uh,
sonic boomed me,
Rip.
and I just had to reset it.
Jaren, I don't know if like maybe it's just because we're early game or not, but like I guess outside of your kind of like Terramorph fight, do you feel ammo starved?
I don't.
Oh,
I
okay.
think after I started raiding outposts, I think I the first outpost I did feel ammo starved, but then since then I've just been looting everything, and I feel right now I have a good amount of weapon. I think I roll with, luckily I've gotten, quote unquote legendary weapons and epic rarity weapons
Oh,
so
nice,
far.
nice.
Just because, yeah, I if I land on a planet, I try to see the points of interest and kind of explore them.
Hmm.
And for the most part, you do get one or two purples or even a gold item from that. I know this moon outpost that I just did before we recorded gave me like three legendary
Oh,
items,
damn.
which I thought was pretty lucky in itself as well. So I feel like I have a good range of weapons that cover me so far, and I have, substantial ammo for most of them as well. So
Hmm.
I haven't been starved since, again, the beginning. But is that a problem you seem to be running into?
For the most part, yeah. Um, like the only weapon ammo I'm not like really running out of is I think the 7.76, which is like what all the basic enemies carry on I think like
Right.
the Equinox gun. So I've kind of just been using the Equinox a lot. I think that's the name of the gun,
Yeah.
but
Okay. The pistol, right? Yeah.
not the pistol. It's kind of like the SMG. Oh wait, no, the Equinox might be the
Oh,
laser gun.
yeah.
But
It's the laser. It's the
yeah,
laser
I've
gun.
been
Yeah.
using like the laser gun and the SMG because that's mostly the ammo that's been dropping for me. But I do wish that like I had more ammo for the other guns.
I think for me right now, before the legendary drops, I was using like the Gretel, I think, whatever the SMG was.
Hmm.
And I think the Maelstrom, which is the gun that the space pirates usually
Yes.
carry.
Yeah.
So that's why I have a bunch of ammo for that. And recently, from this one run, I got a legendary version of that Maelstrom. So I'm going to start building towards that as well.
Hmm.
But Matt,
Hmm.
I'm just gonna get into it right
Okay.
now. Again, I I like a good Bethesda experience, and even a I can put up with a vanilla Bethesda experience as
Hmm.
well. But at the same time, in 2023, after playing like these types of games for over a decade now, I honestly feel like there are some quality of life choices in this game that, so I know, a lot of people say, "Oh, can't wait for all the mods to make this like
Hmm.
a really better experience."
Hmm.
But and I usually give vanilla Bethesda games kind of a pass, but I guess after playing them for so long and having modded experiences as well, I'm kind of missing that more streamlined experience. And I know I preface a lot of what I'm about to say with I've played a lot of Bethesda, at least modern Bethesda
Hmm.
games, but first things first for me, Matt, I don't think the UI in this game is the greatest,
The UI is awful. Yeah.
especially when it comes to like menu and map navigation.
Yeah.
There are so many different maps, from your surface map, your system map, your galaxy map, which makes navigating, the menus confusing at
Hmm.
times, especially during the beginning hours of the game when you're not used to it.
Hmm.
I feel like, as Julian's tip, I feel like when you're planet side, you pretty much need to be in scan mode all the time, especially when to help with traveling to markers and points of
Yeah.
interest. And speaking about that planet side, again, not having any real movement options other than sprinting and jumping is kind of nuts to me, especially since planets are so bare and there's not necessarily that much to do so far from what I've seen. But again, Matt,
Hmm.
I'm not a fan of the UI because I just feel like it isn't intuitive enough, which isn't helped by the fact that I feel like the default keybinds are really weird. And
Yeah.
I know I kind of deflected your question earlier, but to answer your question now, I'm playing on the PC, but honestly, I'm alternating between my controller and then mouse and keyboard and switching on the fly when I need to because
Okay.
honestly, the default controls for both are kind of weird. Where Matt, I'm not sure why by default, as you said, your perspective, your point of view is bound to your mouse wheel. And I'm also not sure why on the controller it's bound to the select button. And honestly, I don't know what R1 does on the controller. And I'm Matt, this is crazy to me. So essentially there are two menus in the game. There's your player
Hmm.
menu, which is hitting tab. That brings up, oh, you can pick your map, you
Yeah.
can pick your inventory, your skill sets. And then if you hit escape, you get your, game menu. And that's, oh, I want to
Hmm.
save, I want to go to my options, I want to exit to desktop or whatever.
Hmm.
Matt, I'm not sure how to access that system menu on my controller because if you press
Amazing.
start, that takes you to your menu.
Uh huh.
But Matt,
Uh huh.
if you hold start, that takes you to the planet side map. And I honestly, Matt, for me personally, my combat is on my mouse and keyboard just because,
Uh huh.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
I play FPS games. I play Fortnite on my PC.
Hmm.
And honestly, I use my keyboard just so I can get to the systems menu.
Uh huh.
But everything else, I kind of use my controller for, especially space combat, just because, when you're reallocating your resources to the different systems, me, Matt, I use a 60% keyboard, so I don't have the arrow keys by default. So I need to use a controller just to do the resource allocation. But
Hmm.
other than that, yeah, I juggle between the two. But
Hmm.
as someone who is, I guess, are you purely mouse and keyboard, Matt?
Yeah, I'm purely mouse and keyboard.
Okay. How are you finding the controls?
I think they're, for the most part, functional for me.
Okay.
I think the best thing that I did for myself on mouse and keyboard menu controls is switching up my keybinds so that back or like escape or whatever is just I've switched it over to right click on my mouse.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I can now purely control the whole menu with just my mouse hand.
Oh,
And
nice.
it
Nice.
makes everything so much faster for me.
Yeah, Matt, I think with me, another reason why I switch between mouse and keyboard and the controls is as someone who is over encumbered a lot, because Matt, I'd be
Man.
looting.
Jared, I
You,
ended up just taking the stupid perk that lets you gives you expanded thing.
oh man, we'll get to the
Carry
perk
limit.
system.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
get to the
Okay.
perk system, but as someone who's over encumbered a lot, I really do need to do that mouse and keyboard and controller dance because the walk toggle on mouse and keyboard, I think by default that's caps lock. I feel like that is too slow. Where when you're over encumbered, I need to have like pepper the analog stick on my controller to feel like
Uh
I'm
huh.
actually moving as I'm waiting for my, energy to kind of
Come back.
yeah, to come back. So
Hmm.
I feel like, yeah, I need to use the best of both worlds at any given time. And as someone who is currently looking after their sister's puppy,
Uh huh.
and that puppy's sitting on my lap when I'm gaming because I don't want our dog to eat him. I feel like he's trying to sleep, and it's just me going back and forth from mouse and keyboard to controller like the whole time. But Matt,
Hmm.
going back to weapons for a second,
Hmm.
and how I found that legendary Maelstrom, and now I'm looking into kind of building that or
Mm-hmm.
upgrading that.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon modding system in Starfield isn't great either, and it's especially a step down when you consider what what it was in, say, Fallout 4 and Fallout 76,
Uh-huh.
where I don't like how the weapon mods aren't necessarily mods that you can take out and say. So I have a legendary Maelstrom, as I said,
Mm-hmm.
but my modified Maelstrom that I've been using, I can't just take all the mods from that and put it onto my legendary thing. They're kind of
Yeah.
locked to each weapon, and I thought that was wild as well. Where again, you had systems in Fallout that were, pretty decent, and for it not to really find a place in Starfield is kind of weird. And again, Matt, I know they're technically different games, but they're still in that Bethesda framework where to me it seems like kind of a step down if you're purely doing a vanilla experience. But Matt,
Mm-hmm.
have you dabbled in the weapon mods?
Yeah, Jared, I
Or
don't
yeah.
really like this weapon mod system. Or
Hmm.
it's don't like is maybe a bit strong for that, but I feel like if you're not investing in the modding skills, you have too small a pool to play with.
Yes.
Like, and
Yep.
I think that's my big issue.
And maybe it's something I want to explore, but I guess we'll just get into it, Matt. I
Hmm.
feel like not having a respec system in your RPG in 2023 should be illegal,
Yeah,
Matt.
yeah. Hmm.
And I know you didn't really necessarily have it. I believe you didn't really have it in Fallout 4. Um, it's been so long since I played Vanilla New Vegas and
Hmm.
Skyrim where honestly, when I replay New Vegas, I just get whatever mod lets me respec. I get whatever mod gets me like 2 skill points every time I level, and just because I'm at that point where I just kind of want to have fun with the games I play.
Hmm.
And with Starfield right now, I'm finding these weird restrictions almost off-putting in a way where I don't know, Matt. I'm at that point where since I don't have a respect, I'm kind of scared to spend my skill points now.
Hmm.
And that doesn't help from the fact that the perk system is really weird as well, where kind of as you said, you earn skill points every time you level up. I think max level is 75, and I'm assuming they're gonna like increase that with any DLC they release, kind
Hmm.
of similar to past games. But with your skill points, you can use those to invest in perks, and I believe most perks have 4 skill levels. But
Hmm.
to unlock, to be able to pump in skill like those skill points into those perks past level 1, say you wanted a level 2, a level 3, a level 4 version of that perk,
Hmm.
you have to level up that perk before you're able to slot a skill point in it. Take,
Yeah.
as you were alluding to, the to get more inventory weight. I believe the way to level up that perk was, hey, you need to run, what was it, like 1,000 meters, a
Hmm.
thousand, yeah, 1,000 meters, while having 75% of storage, or storage capacity in your inventory.
Yeah.
Okay, I got that. Okay, now I need to walk for 2,500 meters, with 75% capacity,
Hmm.
before I can get to use a skill to go into skill 3. Likewise with the barter skill, oh, I need to sell or buy 25 things before I can insert another skill here. Or with persuasion, oh, I need to pass 3 persuasion checks for me to level up the system. And Matt,
Uh-huh.
when I saw that for the first time, especially for someone who before I got the skill point sold like 50 items, I was
Yes.
actually really off put. I found that really off putting,
Yeah.
where I thought that it was just a weird way to further, I don't know, inflate playtime.
Hmm.
Where for me, having to, even if I have the skill points, just me running around New Atlantis so I can put in another point in like my storage capacity was weirdly anti-fun. And the fact that it's not necessarily retroactive also
Yeah.
hurt it for me, where I thought the perk system was just a weird design choice where I thought, okay, I can't wait for the mod to let me bypass this. But that when you saw how the perks worked, how did you? What was your initial reaction to it?
I initially didn't mind it because I thought that it was going to be retroactive. Or, like, I was kind of also hoping that, hey, once you do this, you don't have to spend the skill point to rank it up. Like, I thought you just unlock it with the skill point, and then you do this activity to like, raise it up itself. Which I think both would have been much better systems than what we have now. The fact that there is no retroactive progress tracking for any of these is what I think makes it the worst of any of the systems, for me
Yeah.
at least.
And again, without that respect option, at least, I guess you can technically go through your console commands
You
and
know,
reset everything,
I just
which I
realized that
probably,
that's probably why the respect option isn't there. Because you have to go through these stupid challenges every single
yeah.
time. Oh, that's dumb.
Oh, Matt. I don't know. Just the fact that I was just running around New Atlantis doing that stamina dance, I thought, okay, this is definitely a choice. But speaking about New Atlantis, as I said
Hmm.
before, it is that big hub area, that big hub city. I think early on, getting there for the first time, it was really overwhelming for me, mostly because I swear you get a new side mission like every couple of steps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's one of those things where side missions kind of pop up just because, oh, you overheard a conversation, oh, you walked by something, where I was just my first walkthrough, every couple of steps, it was, oh, new activity, new side mission,
Hmm.
go here,
Hmm.
go there. And I thought that was real. It was just a lot to take in, especially since you're kind of getting accustomed to this area. You're kind of getting accustomed to this gameplay. But then again, going back to kind of the map stuff, not having a city map to tell you where each of the different stores is on New Atlantis
Oh,
is
yeah.
also a weird choice.
Yeah, that was really
Where,
bad.
as someone who, again, Matt, I'm over encumbered a lot. I try to loot everything I can, and I know after playing all of these Bethesda games that each shop has a certain amount of credits that you can get from selling. So you have to hop from shop to shop.
Ugh.
And then for the most part, each shop can only buy certain things. Like, oh, this is a food establishment. They can only buy the aid items. Oh, this is the weapon shop. They can only buy weapons. This is a clothing shop. They can only buy apparel. This is the armor shop. They can only
Hmm.
buy armor.
Hmm.
And for someone who doesn't know where each of these are by heart yet, it was
Yeah.
a lot of me wandering around of, oh, where's Outlands? Is that in the commercial district? Is that in the residential area? What's in the massed area? Again, it was so confusing to kind of find my way around that a lot
Yeah.
of the times it was me using my second monitor of, oh, where's Outlands? Where can I do this? Where can I do that? Where honestly, again, I feel like I have to preface this by saying
Hmm.
I don't mind a vanilla Bethesda experience, but at the same time, there are a lot of weird design choices that really are preventing me from at least just getting a base
Yeah.
enjoyment of this game.
Jaron, I think it's
Where,
wild that
yep,
they money gate you with the NPCs like the way that they're doing it now. Because I know that like in Skyrim and Fallout, the NPCs at least had individual money, right? And I think it's wild that in this game they're sharing it.
are they sharing it? I thought
They're
they
sharing it. Yeah, like I was trying to like, offload a bunch of merchandise
yeah.
and I went to an NPC, I got them down to like basically no credits left or whatever the money is called. I went to the dude beside her. He had the exact same amount of credits left.
Oh, that's weird.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that. Oh man, yeah. I don't know, Matt. I feel like I want to enjoy it. I want to like this game more than I do, but at the same time, maybe it's just because I'm not necessarily into also the space wrapper per se. Again, like I told you like in the beginning, like I wasn't really kind of engaging in a lot of the space combat, the space
Hmm.
exploration. I just want my Fallout experience of, hey, this is my character, let's go around. And I do want to get to the point where I have my Dragonborn powers so I can just, do the role play of, okay, maybe I just will be the mercenary for hire. I have this laundry list of tasks that I need to do, bounties collect, and I think that would be fun, but it's just kind of the little quality of life stuff, the UI frustrations, the design choices that just make me pause and go, "Oh, I'm fighting with these systems, or these systems aren't intuitive enough, or I'm confused by them, where I'm not getting to that base enjoyment that I
Hmm.
know I can probably get from this game." But it's this has been the most difficult vanilla Bethesda game I've had, trying to sink my teeth into, where I can see parts of it that can be cool, but I'm still trying to fight all the mechanics before I can actually get to there. And I think that's what's bumming me out the most, where I enjoy the Bethesda Foundation. I've said it a million times on this podcast right now, but
Hmm.
I don't know. There are these little things, not so little things, that again are making me go, this, is this actually happening right now? And I guess as someone who has played modded experiences, it kind of weirds me out in a way where a lot of the design choices have been addressed in previous Bethesda games through mods, and
Hmm.
it's kind of weird to me that, oh, something as simple as, a weapon mod system that we saw in Fallout 4 doesn't exist here. That navigating the menus is kind of weird. That my default controls aren't that intuitive
Hmm.
in themselves. But yeah, Matt, like I want to enjoy this game and I'm gonna keep playing, but at the back of my mind, it pains me to admit, while playing Starfield, it was one, oh, I can't wait for a new Fallout game because that's kind of my
Uh-huh.
aesthetic.
Hmm.
And two, oh, I can't wait for that Cyberpunk update and DLC to come out at the end of the month,
Yep.
because I feel like Cyberpunk, especially going back to my time with it years ago, was streamlined in a way that kind of made it a lot more accessible. And who knows, maybe once I get a hang of Starfield, I'll find it a lot more enjoyable. But at the same time, this has been the most, oh, can't wait for the mods to come around,
Yeah.
that I've gameplay experience that I've experienced in so long, which is also kind of a shame, just because this has been years in the making with a talented studio behind it, but at the same time, it's not necessarily the game I want to play just yet.
Hmm.
But Matt, after playing your fair share of Starfunk, that reminds me, Matt, I need to go back to Bomb Rush Cyberpunk,
Hmm.
Starfield. Uh, what are your takeaways from your first several hours playing it?
Jaren, I feel like this is a very, at least like I think it's a good game. Like I
Mhm.
enjoyed playing it. I think my issues right now though is that it's getting drowned out by a lot of other stuff that I would rather be playing that don't
Right,
that aren't like plagued with a bunch of quality of life issues that I wish were fixed within this game.
right.
Like if this had a more enjoyable menu, if this had like kind of I think better feeling gunplay for me. I think maybe also I was kind of just uninformed going in that I was expecting a pseudo VATS system to be in this
Matt, I
game.
was gonna say
Hmm?
that it was probably gonna be unfair, but I'm honestly waiting for someone to mod in bats into
Uh
this game.
huh. And like Jaren, I I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel super dumb when I'm trying to lockpick something. Like for some reason that minigame takes me so goddamn long to do.
Yeah, the first time I tried the lockpicking mini game. I honestly, Matt, I save Scum before with any Bethesda game. I'll save Scum before I do any lock just to get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Matt, I don't know,
Yeah,
man. I want to enjoy this game.
yeah,
So
I'm
much
enjoying
more.
the game. Like, I think I'm definitely gonna come back to it. But like I said, it's gonna get drowned out for me because like I still
Yeah.
have Baldur's to finish. Like you said, Cyberpunk is out in like a few weeks, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then, Jaren, if I didn't feel like compelled to play Starfield this weekend, I definitely would have just gone in and done like the Payday 3 beta stuff, which is probably what I'm gonna be doing this like
Payday soon.
coming
Yeah.
week. Like, I don't know. I think in 2 or 3 months is probably gonna be when I am gonna pick up Starfield again.
Honestly, Matt, it's okay. I'm waiting for some good mods to really come just to help with the quality of life stuff. But again, it's a Bethesda game through and through. Like, don't go into Starfield expecting a No Man's Sky thing. I guess don't expect Elite Dangerous. Just expect, hey, this is what you've come to kind of expect from a Skyrim, what you've come to expect from a Fallout, but not necessarily kind of to that degree. But it's the same loop. It's the kind of the same story with added space elements, which your mileage may vary for that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's something I'll try to give it a few more hours in. But not, I'm just looking at my coming to Game Pass
Uh-huh.
on PC Game Pass, and even like the website, we have Lies of P coming out on the 18th. We have Solar Ash coming out on the 14th, which I'm going to be talking about that next week. Payday 3 on the 21st. And that,
Uh-huh.
of course, I'm going to download that and ask if you want to jam.
Of course. Like, I really hope that this beta wasn't a weekend only beta.
Let me know, Matt. Let me know, and I'll try to jam with you. But yeah, Matt, Forza Motorsport, I'll probably try to in October. Persona 5 Tactica in November, and just a lot of games, Matt, coming up where it is, Matt, I do admit I feel bad about uninstalling Armored Core 6 just to get the SSD space for this, because when I was kind of, fighting with like the in-game systems of Starfield, it was, man, I wish I was just flying around in my giant robot right now. But yeah, Starfield, I'll give it a few more hours, Matt, just to see where I stand with it. But again, this is, just thinking back, this has been a really beefy year of video games, where I'm really curious to see how our end of year list shape up. And that's not including all the anime I'm not watching, which I should really probably get back into as well. But Matt, I've been talking about it for too long now. What's your closing word for now for the Mistake Zone for Starfield?
I think Starfield is a good game plagued by a lot of small issues that add up to make it like a bit more cumbersome to go through. But if it is the experience that you're looking for, I think it is actually a very good experience.
Yeah, I think as someone, I know a friend asked where, I don't really play with mods, but I enjoyed the Fallout games. I enjoyed Skyrim, where I think it would be a pretty easy recommendation in that regard. I feel like for me, I'm just tainted with like the quality of life changes that I've seen from mods for Bethesda games. But Matt, this has been a beefier episode than expected.
Yep.
I want to thank you, as always, for joining me this week and editing this pod full of mistakes.
Yo, Jaren, I want to thank you for hosting this episode and giving me some sweet Arknight tips.
Thanks, pal. I want to thank Yato from Arknights.
Yeah.
I want to thank Rathalos from Arknights.
Not Monster Hunter Rise Rathalos, though. Or Monster Hunter Now Rathalos.
I want to thank 2B from Matt. I wanted to get into this if we had the time, but Rappy from Nikkei and 2B have the same Japanese seiyuu, and one of the points of the story during the near Nikkei collab, one of the story beats was, "Hey, is it just me or does Rappy and 2B sound alike?"
God, I
Which
love
I
those
thought
moves. Oh, they're so good.
I love that goof so much. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank that goth girl in the bank of in New Atlantis who's trying to get a job there. I really wanted her to join my party, but it doesn't seem like she
Oh, I
can.
don't think I saw her.
I'm hoping Goth Girl is able to be a party member, but her storyline is I hate life, but I need money, so I'm going to be a bank teller, and I'm really invested in that
I
storyline.
feel that.
But Matt, my throat hurts, so please take it away.
This has been the Mistake Zone, and we're all out of modless Starfield experiences.